Lindsey Graham had himself a real bad day yesterday, and you know what? It happens to the best of us. You get a little down on your luck, and you want to wash away the sorrows with maybe a couple of brewskis. Maybe you get some gin and tonics in you, and you dance the night away. I don't know. Maybe you have a whole bottle of Sauvignon Blanc in the bathtub, order Taco Bell on Uber Eats, and fall asleep before it gets there. It is okay to have one of those nights. What's not okay, and what's not a good look, is to have one of those nights and then appear on national television. And that is what a very slurring, discombobulated Lindsey Graham did last night, and it broke the internet because it was humiliating. Lindsey Graham was visibly drunk, falling apart, and it's just hilarious because he is struggling. Do you know what? I'm going to revel in it. I'm going to love every second of Lindsey Graham falling apart. And it started yesterday when he was confronted to his face about the worst-kept secret in Washington before we get to a slurring, gross Lindsey on Fox, just, looking bad.
Hey, Lindsey, why don't you just admit that you're gay and then people won't blackmail you anymore?
Now, if you do not want to take this ride with me as a hater, I'd go ahead and say stop the video right now. But considering that Lindsey Graham is a warmonger and a bigot and one of the worst people in politics, I think it is okay if we kick back a little bit and mock Lindsey Graham. So that's what we're going to do in this video. I am so glad to see this man confronted to his face about the reality that he has built for himself. Lindsey Graham, in every regard, lives a lie. There is nothing truthful about him. There is nothing honest about Lindsey. He is just this angry, sniveling, gross individual. He is a sycophant for the worst people that he doesn't even like and who don't like him. Lindsey, we know what's going on, man. How about you have a little love in your life, a little open love in your life? You leave the Senate and you stop imposing all of your pain and frustration onto us. Lindsey Graham is so disappointed and disgusted with himself. The only pleasure he can find is going to war. That is Lindsey Graham's life. When Lindsey Graham goes to a Trump rally, the guy he has sold his soul to, who attacked his mentor, John McCain, again and again and again, do you know what Lindsey gets? It's not flowers. It's not hugs and kisses. It's booed. Lindsey gets booed. That is Lindsey Graham's life, and he absolutely deserves it. And so in all of this, Lindsey saw an opportunity to maybe get a sliver of hope, something happy for himself. And it wasn't doing good work in the Senate. No. It was stealing your tax dollars for $500,000 and more is what Lindsey wanted. And when he didn't get it, he got really upset. Now, this Fox clip was not the drunk Lindsey, but it is what ultimately led to Lindsey getting drunk. Listen to him talking about his plan to steal $500,000 because his phone records were seized. They were just subpoenaed. And it's ultimately what led to his breakdown on the Senate floor yesterday, which then, of course, turned Lindsey to the bottle.
My phone records were seized as part of this. I am tired of this. The third leading DOJ lawyer left DOJ in Washington to work for Alvin Bragg in Manhattan. What was that all about? Fani Willis's boyfriend spent a day in the White House talking to the Jack Smith people. What was that all about? I think this was worse than Watergate, an effort to destroy President Trump, charge him with crimes that are just ridiculous, and come after people like me. I'm not going to put up with this crap anymore. I'm going to sue. I'm going to sue the hell out of these people.
How much are you going to sue them for?
Tens of millions of dollars, because I went to Fani Willis in Atlanta, spent $1.2 million with that bullshit in Atlanta. Now I find out they spy on my phone records as a senator and a private citizen, chairman of the Judiciary Committee in 2023. I'm going to sue.
Okay, so Lindsey Graham wasn't on Fox. This is not the time that he had, put a couple away, and he's yelling and he's screaming and he's mad, and I deserve $500,000, I deserve $1 million, I'm going to sue for more. They stole my phone. They didn't steal his phone records. They subpoenaed his phone records because of his involvement in January 6th in a violent insurrection in which he almost lost his life along with every other member of Congress and the Vice President of the United States, because our current pedo president is also a narcissist. That is why Lindsey Graham's phone records were stolen. They were subpoenaed. It's allowed. It happens. It can happen to us, and we don't get $500,000. And then when that was subsequently blocked by Republicans who even thought it was ridiculous, Lindsey Graham had a meltdown, and he had it on the floor, and this is what ultimately led to the angry Lindsey to, like I said, turn to the bottle.
You jammed me. Speaker Johnson, I won't forget this. I got a lot of good friends in the House. If you think I'm going to give up on this, you really don't know me.
Threatening Mike Johnson, wanting to go to war with the Speaker of the House. That was the state of Lindsey Graham yesterday. Pissed off, angry, furious with the world. I'm coming after you. So it's no surprise that Lindsey had himself a little fun, a little too much fun, and then he went on Fox. And the internet, much like Lindsey Graham, was abuzz over it.
I want sanctuary city policy to end. I want sanctuary city policy to end. I want sanctuary city policy to end.
Funny enough, Senator John Kennedy said of Lindsey Graham in his new book, and this made some news, invite him to dinner and you don't know if he'll sit down for an intelligent conversation or get drunk and vomit in the fish tank, but that's why I like him. Now, the response to that clip of Lindsey Graham clearly slurring and visibly out of it was, is Lindsey Graham doing a live interview drunk? Another Twitter user wrote, Lindsey Graham drunk as a skunk live on Fox News. So Lindsey Graham is trashed on Fox. He loses out on an opportunity to get himself $500,000, maybe $1 million, maybe pushing $2 million, and he just loses his mind. 50,000 people are going to die in the coming year because Lindsey Graham and Republicans in the Senate kicked 25 million people off their health care. And that's a conservative projection. 50,000 people are going to die unnecessarily in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. And Lindsey Graham has to turn to the bottle, wash away his sorrows, because he, an already very, very wealthy individual, didn't get $500,000 from the American taxpayer for his phone records being lawfully subpoenaed. That is what really irks Lindsey Graham, to the point that he gets drunk and goes on television to cry about sanctuary cities. Lindsey Graham is upset he couldn't extort the American taxpayer out of $500 million, and so he got drunk and got on Fox and complained that people are mad that the U.S. government is spending tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars to send a militarized police force into our cities to kill Americans. That is Lindsey Graham. Are you serious? The man is drunk as hell on a propaganda network that's drunk on misinformation and hate and bigotry, and he's pushing he's kind of a puss. He's pushing more misinformation, hate, and bigotry. That is Lindsey Graham's life. It's not sad as much as it's disturbing, which is, again, why I just revel in the fact that he is mocked to his face, that he is booed by Trump supporters, and that everybody hates him. Because everybody does hate Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham hates Lindsey Graham. It is why, like John Kennedy said, he gets drunk as a skunk and throws up in a fish tank. Because Lindsey Graham doesn't even want to spend time with Lindsey Graham. And that is the reality he is forced to live in. And I know that he forces it upon all of us, and we have to see and hear from him every Sunday because he's desperate for attention. Truly, there is no one who is on the Sunday shows. I think Lindsey Graham is on Meet the Press more than Kristen Welker. He is desperate for attention. And do you know what? You got it, Lindsey. Everyone talking about how just sloppy you are. Sloppy Lindsey. And not in the ways that he'd like. I'm sure he would like to get sloppy in a different variety, but let's not picture that. Please, I don't want to think about it. Lindsey, you're so gross and such a terrible person. But when he gets a couple too many in him, I think I told you all this morning, I was a little roughed up, because it does happen to the best of us. But do you know what I do? I throw on the John Mayer live version of Free Fallin' on Touch Tunes and, hug my buddies. And then we made pancakes. I made the pancakes. They didn't do anything. It's okay. I'm happy to do it. But that's what I do. And I'm sure when you, as we all have, get a couple too many in you, again, it happens. It's okay. You want to dance or do karaoke or, again, order bad food. I'll get myself 2 quarter pounders. I don't care. I'm 23. Metabolism is fine. But Lindsey Graham, when he gets drunk, wants to go on national television and advocate for a police state. What a piece of shit. Seriously. What a horrible person. But that's Lindsey Graham. And that is why even MAGA boos him, because he is that awful. He is that despicable. And he should hate himself. And we all do. We all hate you, Lindsey. So at least you have that going for you. At least, quite frankly, Lindsey Graham knows that we can't stand him either, because who could? But he's advocating for a police state at a time when it's never been more unpopular, but it is certainly upon us. And I think Chris Hayes did a great job of breaking that down in this short clip right here.
Coming from an administration that has no qualms about breaking the law when it comes to just about anything, including releasing the Epstein files, today, 42 days after they were legally required to release all the files, they decided to get around to it. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, Trump defense attorney who still views the president as his client, according to officials he's worked with, announced the dump of 3 million new Epstein documents. Now, Todd Blanche is the same guy, remember, last year who kicked off the whole controversy when he wrote the memo saying we've looked at every single file and we've concluded there's nothing further to see here. There's no client list. No one else is implicated. We're shutting it all down. That Todd Blanche, the one who signed his name to that document saying we have already looked at it all, announced they got around, I guess, to looking at the documents. He said the delays were to protect the victims. They weren't protecting Trump. And now their job here is done.
Today's release marks the end of a very comprehensive document identification and review process. After submitting the final report to Congress as required under the Act and publishing the written justifications for redactions in the Federal Register, the department's obligations under the Act will be completed.
This is now the second time that Todd Blanche has told us there's nothing more to see here. We're going to have a lot more on what we are learning from those files later in the show, and there are some pretty shocking things in them. Blanche also said there was an investigation opened into Alex Pretty's death, though he suggested it wasn't a civil rights probe and he declined to give any details. He also defended the raid of that election office in Georgia and Tulsi Gabbard's role in it. And he ignored a question about the numerous federal prosecutors in Minneapolis who've resigned in protest, particularly ones who appeared to have resigned because Blanche's office told them to open a criminal investigation not into the person that shot Renee Good, but into the dead woman Renee Good after a federal agent shot and killed her. The point here is that federal law enforcement increasingly, day by day, acts at the directions and the whims of the man in the White House who aspires to be a dictator. And in the last few weeks, they have shot and killed 2 citizens who stood in their way. The wolf is at the door, America.
Donald Trump's militarization of America is upon us, and I think we have to start speaking in those terms, that Donald Trump is not setting up detention centers for ICE. They are concentration camps for children ripped from their families, that these are not law enforcement officials, that they're Gestapo, that they're thugs, that they're domestic terrorists. Let's use that language. It's the only language that makes sense. It is how we're going to speak on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around at the end,